Welcome to Building While Flying, a Sasha Group podcast where we interview business leaders about how they tackle challenges, stay resilient, and navigate ever-changing skies.
Welcome to the Building While Flying podcast. My name is Joe Quattrone, and today my guest is Kari Warberg Block, founder and CEO of EarthKind. Kari challenged an industry to reduce toxic pesticide use in homes and businesses by offering a naturally smarter way to keep pests out without having to kill or poison them. Kari was the first to develop, manufacture, and commercialize poison-free rodent and insect repellents for farm and home use. Once a mom on food stamps, Kari started EarthKind with nothing more than a package of garden seeds and a vision, and has built it into the 8-figure company it is today. Kari Warberg Block, welcome to Building While Flying.
So happy to be here today, Joe.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're very happy to have you. And, just doing the research that I have, prior to jumping on the call with you and hearing from a few folks firsthand what kind of company you run and what kind of leader you are, we're very excited for this conversation. But let's go back to the beginning a little bit. What were you doing prior to founding EarthKind? What was your career track? Did you always want to get into running a pesticide brand, or were there other aspirations at one point?
No, I never imagined getting into the sexy business of pest control. I grew up with an entomologist father, and there was critters around the house all the time, critters in boxes and cages, and I had nightmares that the spiders were going to come alive and get me, which is not unlike a lot of people today,
Right.
Especially kids. I never thought I'd go into it. But I found myself, I was a farm wife, had a problem with rodents on our farm, getting into our tractor cabs, chewing up the wires, ruining things. It cost a lot of money. And I had kids, I had pets, and poisons were not an option. I called every company out there. They basically laughed me off the line, made me feel terrible, like I was stupid for wanting something that could actually solve the problem without putting poison in the environment or risking wildlife or my kids or my pets.
Right.
And I kind of stewed about it. And in 1995, I was selling organic produce at a farmer's market. And I got hit by a 72-year-old lady on a touring bike with a sidecar. Basically, long story short, I died for 3 minutes. I laid on my back for a year. And then I kind of lost all sense of embarrassment or worry or fear or anything like that. And I thought, well, I'm here for a reason. Maybe this is the reason. And it started to bloom from there.
Wow. So you were dead for 3 minutes. Well, obviously it might be hard to ask what was that like. I don't know what condition you were in, but was there some sort of an out of body experience, a near death experience? Like, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
And what was going on for those 3 minutes, and what happened for that year afterwards? Was there vivid dreams? How did this kind of all come together?
So nothing happened to me. I was like, I don't remember anything, but I woke up and my doctor was standing over me and he said, "You are damn lucky to be alive, little girl. I don't want to hear any bitching and moaning out of you. You got a long road ahead." So I assumed that I had lost a leg because the last thing before they put me under was, "Sign here. We'll take your leg to preserve your life if needed." So that's what I had thought. Then he turned white. He told me, he said there was an angel in the room. He was an atheist. It totally changed his belief system. He left medicine. And so these other people had this experience. I got nothing. I just laid there. I'm like, there's got to be a message in this. There must be something. And, I loved my life on the farm. I loved being an organic farmer. We had 1,100 acres. It was amazing because I grew up all of my life in big cities, moving to a different school every year of my life. And these were roots, and it was community, and it was such a healthy and an amazing lifestyle. Although we were broke as shit. It was like, okay, but maybe I can make some money from this.
Yeah.
And then I hatched it up. I'm like, I might as well invent something that will get rid of pests without having to harm the environment and then truly get rid of them in a way that makes sense. And so farmers were my first choice. So that was really my first product invention, was a product to keep rodents out of the tractor cabs. And it was an amazing success.
Yeah, wow. I mean, and now this is back in the 90s, correct? And we're talking about the 99% of the market was harmful pesticides and products that just didn't weren't friendly to the environment or friendly to
Oh
pests, right?
yeah, 88%. 88% were toxic. This industry of pest control does not take well to an outsider, especially one without a PhD. For God's sakes, I barely graduated from high school. I was on food stamps by worldly standards. I'd probably be like a loser, right? But what I did have was purpose, and I had intention, and I had incredible focus. And I thought, there's got to be some way to make this happen. And I knew the only way to make my vision come true, to get this product out there for farmers and other moms too in homes, was the product had to be just as effective. It had to be affordable. I had to figure out how to get it out there. I had to figure out how to make it. Not only that, I had to go in and change policy with the federal EPA, who practically like laughed at me, or worse. It took a while to get it through. So there was a lot of hoops to jump through to make the vision
But we're
come
here
true.
today, and you've made a dent in that industry, correct? From what I've read up, it seems like you're taking double digits out of it, apparently, or at least you're inspiring double-digit
Yeah.
decreases by that industry. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And if there is any message in this whole thing for the people listening today, it's that through with a lot of passion and tenacity and just dog-headed, pig-headed discipline, you can make some amazing things happen. I was quite unlikely to be the one to make this happen, but now today, Procter and Gamble has entered the space with a product. Of the biggest companies are jumping in. So it's kind of,
But
I
the
don't know,
funny
it's a
thing
scary
about
thing,
that
but
is,
it's fun.
and I've worked on the large business side, I've worked on the small business side of things. I ran AB InBev for Gary, I ran Johnson and Johnson for a number of years, but now I've been at the Sasha Group for 3 years, so I work primarily with small to mid-sized companies. And the funny thing that I find about that whole equation is that the larger companies, the Proctors of the world, the Unilevers of the world, so on and so forth, they're so far removed from that initial like founder story, right? That they would pay millions of dollars to have agencies come up with their vision and their purpose and their values versus taking it from straight from the source. So we're incredibly lucky to have CEOs like yourself and other small business owners and mid-sized companies that are still so connected to the genesis and the beginning of their story. And I just find that so profound. Like, a lot of marketers, wind up trying to climb the ladder their whole careers to work with these massive companies. But a lot of the great businesses and brands out there are just in the same position you're in right now. You're talking about less than 40 years old. You still have the founder intact, and you've got purpose, which fuels you every single day. So let's kind of go down that pathway a little bit. Like, does that give you faith, confidence, fearlessness when it goes to attacking the market on a day-to-day basis? Like, how does understanding the underpinnings of your purpose make you feel while you're competing?
Well, there's a few things that it works with. As far as the business growth from the beginning to where it is today, we surpassed the 10 million. Now we're working to the 30 million in revenues, which less than 1%, I think of 1% actually get this far. So understanding the voice of the customer was always really important. And I got a healthy dose of that when I was 5 years old. I talked my parents into buying me the shampoo. I saw it on TV. I had to have the shampoo. They finally did it. I felt totally ripped off as a consumer. The stuff burned my eyes,
Ooh,
it burned my skin. Not only that, I was like, what about this plastic bottle? Where does this go, Dad?
right,
So he took me over to Kills Dump, Staten Island, and we drove through miles and miles of garbage.
right.
And I was like, I can't throw another bottle away. So I started mixing my own stuff. And from that age, I thought we need to do better. So I made my own things. And, after the near-death accident, I'm like, well, I guess I'm as qualified as anybody to go out and do this. So found scientists and sold everything I knew. And really, the voice of the consumer is always so important.
Right.
In fact, we just did a survey this weekend because we wanted to know. We had a question. And it's amazing the amount of alignment that you get with all your stakeholders. So, for instance, our suppliers are our stakeholders. They help us in our innovations. They come to the table with ideas, ways we can do better, be better. So that voice of the customer really pretty much is a thread that connects everything and keeps it very practical. Because I've seen businesses, they lose that pulse of that customer. It's like they're not in the game. They're not in the dogfight, if you will, anymore. Helping that customer live a better life, or, whatever it is that the purpose is.
Yeah. Now, there's some sense of the customer's always right in the world of advertising. My boss, Gary, challenges that notion because he thinks that if you take care of your own people first, and then if you take care of your customers second, then your customers will come along third and they'll be happy with it because you're making everybody up and down the chain happy. I happen to know, a little disclosure for the Building While Flying podcast guests, EarthKind is a client of ours. I don't happen to work directly with Kari, but I did a very unscientific poll on our Slack group the other day, and here's the feedback I got unsolicited from our team, and I won't blow up any of their spots individually, but one person said, working with EarthKind is like a giant hug. Tell me about that a little bit. So the way you treat vendors, forget about that word, partners, the way you treat partners, the way you treat your employees, do you do that because you also feel like you're only recruiting the right types of personalities that believe in the mission and the vision and the values of the company? Like what's your belief as a leader in kind of this enterprise that you're guiding through the market?
Well, first of all, I believe that the universe is kind. And if we believe that, that's what we're going to see. I believe that the world is a reflection of our heart. So when I have a conversation with anybody, it doesn't matter if it's in the company or family or whatever, I always try to have my conversation from a heart space, because then the mind isn't searching for what to say. It is like intrinsically real.
Well, folks, this has been a great time we've been spending with Kari. I hope you go out and check out EarthKind, because I know the earth will be a kinder place if you do. Until next time, this has been the Building While Flying podcast.